Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to another pre-fight Q&A here on MMA Fighting. We are right around 30 minutes away from UFC Vegas 18 kicking off, which will be headlined by Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. Should be a fun card. Should be a really fun card. Unfortunately, we had some bad news. A little earlier today, we found out that the fight between Cody Stamann and Askar will no longer be happening tonight. Askar was not medically cleared, so he is off the card. Cody Stamann has gone through 3 different opponents to try to compete tonight, and now he has nobody to fight. So we'll see what happens. Got a feel for Cody Stamann, but in the meantime, yes, that music fits perfectly probably with how he's feeling right now. But in the meantime, I am Mike Heck, being joined by Jose Youngs, still in the comfort of his own home, not on Fight Island anymore, which is a wonderful thing. We got Alex K. Lee from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. How you doing, sir?
Markham. Shout-outs, Markham. Shout-outs, Duval.
Yes, I thought about you, AK, last night after one of the victors on Knucklemania started shouting out Duval. Mm-hmm. I'm sure a lot of the listeners were doing so as well. And Casey Leydon in the house on the ones and twos, producer extraordinaire.
I am a feeling. That's all. I am a feeling.
I just want to hear more from her. She needs to have a podcast, and I would listen to all of them. No doubt about that. But listen, if you are familiar with the format here, this is your show. Anything you want to talk about in regards to UFC Vegas 18, pop them in the chat. Thoughts, questions, concerns, hot takes, so to speak. Let us know in the chat, and we will get to all of those. But how are we feeling, boys? AK, I'll start with you. We were very excited about this card. We did lose one main card fight, but still, in your world, this is a better thing because the prelims stayed the same. Fight card starts at the exact same time, but now we have a 5-fight main card. How are we feeling about that?
No, it's not a better thing because I spent like an extra 2 hours on my predictions doing some Askar research. So no, it was they couldn't have canceled this yesterday. No, I'm kidding. I hopefully everything's okay with Askar. It actually is a bit of a bummer to lose that fight, though. I do prefer 5-fight main cards, though I guess it doesn't make much of a difference based on kind of how the broadcasting schedules stay. So, but yeah, I just as far as wanting to see that fight, I like Cody Stamann. And I want to see what I've seen a bit of Askar. Like I said, did some research. I'd heard of him before. And I kind of was excited about his debut. But again, hopefully he's fine. And, they rebook him soon with a longer time to prepare. Because he was coming in on less than a week's notice. So we might not have seen the best version of him. I know they would have given him another chance if he lost anyway. But overall, yeah, I mean, look, still excited. This card looks great. And we have, I think we talked about in the preview show yesterday, and just looking at some of our picks that we've made internally, there's a lot of close fights, which is great. I don't know how many exciting finishes we might get, but a lot of competitive fights. And I think people should be excited about that.
I would agree. It is a fun card coming off of Knucklemania yesterday. So a nice vast variety of things this weekend for our combat sports needs and wants. Jose Canseco, all that stuff, that is out of the way, and it's on to UFC Vegas 18. How's the chat looking, Casey? You got anything popping in yet?
All right. Here's our first one from Kenta Thewison.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I mean, who doesn't?
Strong agree.
Big agree?
Big if true.
Big if true.
What kind of cheese? What kind of cheese?
Have we got confirmation? I mean, we are journalists. We have to. I don't know.
What kind of
check
cheese?
My sources.
I have a lot of thoughts, but I need to know the details first.
All right, here we go. Let's start in the prelims.
All right, AK, we'll start with you here. Can Jocelyn Edwards pull off another upset? I mean, we know the answer. She can, but in your opinion, will she?
I certainly hope so because I'm picking her to pull off an upset. I loved what I'm probably, it's a lot of recency bias here. I was very high on Jocelyn Edwards' debut. So aggressive, looking to finish from pretty much every angle, whether she was standing or fighting off her back, which was just awesome to see, especially for someone coming in on short notice. That's the kind of impression you want to make. She'll probably be the same way again. Kayla Rosa, very good fighter. But I don't know. Maybe I just haven't analyzed Rosa enough, and I've been looking at the Jocelyn Edwards side of things too much. But can she pull off the upset? Yes, I'm Prince Vegeta-san. I am picking Jocelyn Edwards to win a decision.
Jose, you were shaking your head. Why?
Because it wouldn't be an upset. Yeah, I would heavily favor Edwards to win this anyway. biased because she's my mom's favorite fighter. Anyone that comes out of El Paso, Texas, my mom immediately is a massive fan of.
Did she jump in front of Aldana? I thought Aldana was.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because
Wow.
she lives and trains in El Paso. So
All right.
anyone that's from El Paso, Texas, immediately has a place in my mom's heart. To the point where when the fight was happening, she tries to watch sometimes, like she'll tune in, and she coincidentally tuned in for Jocelyn's last fight, and she saw she was from El Paso, Texas. She's blown me up, telling her to ask, where do you train, this and that. So I asked her all those in the question in the chat. Anyway, the press conference, I don't think it would be an upset anyway, because Wu Yanan is a good fighter, but she was coming off an L, and her only other win was over Lauren Mueller, who's no longer in the UFC. Carol Rosa, her last loss was over Vanessa Mello, who just got cut coming off of a win. That tells you how the UFC views her. So I don't, because she beat Sam Moraes, right, Morris, if I remember correctly, on Fight Island, who also was cut with a sub 500 record. So these people that they're matching Jocelyn Edwards up, their wins are over people who aren't in the UFC anymore, or they're beating people who aren't in the UFC anymore. So I actually do favor Jocelyn Edwards here. I think she was a long time coming for the UFC. So no, can she win? 100%. Do I favor her? 100%. And I wouldn't call it an upset just because it's a last minute fight.
Hosa beat Mello. I don't know if she won that fight.
Yeah, she did. But I'm saying like a win over Vanessa Mello. You know what I'm saying? No, Vanessa Mello won. She beat Vanessa Mello, but then she wasn't, like, Vanessa Mello is no longer even in the UFC, and she won her last fight. So it's like, is a win, like, yeah, you get the rest of your paycheck, but is it enough to, like, are you impressed with someone beating Vanessa Mello? Probably not.
I thought it was a good performance.
Yeah, but she won the way she should have won. Like, if it was close, it would have been weird. So I favor Jocelyn Edwards.
What do you think, Casey?
I just honestly don't know enough about these two women. I haven't seen enough of them to really make a strong opinion. But the short notice factor is, a factor. But is Edwards? Is she a 25er? Is she just fighting at 35? A lot can go back and forth.
No, she's a 30. She's a 35.
Yeah, she's a 30. Okay. She's a King of the Cage LFA vet too. She took a little bit of time off from like a 2-year break after a loss. I don't know what the situation is. Maybe she had a kid or she got married or something or moved. But before that, she was like fighting 3 times a year. Like I think she fought like 3 times in 2018, like 3 times 2017, a few times in 2016. So she's normally active.
She is a near 2-1 underdog according to Topology. Hosa is minus 245 favorite, so pretty big favorite. And then as far as the fan fight predictions go, 65% Rosa. So Hosa, excuse me, 65% for Hosa. So I guess, but 35% for a 2-1 underdog is actually pretty strong. So maybe a lot of people are kind of thinking like we are.
Maybe she'll prove me wrong.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm going Edwards.
If Carol Hosa just doesn't get into an all-out brawl, she'll win. Like, Jocelyn Edwards is a good fighter, and I think she's got a bright future in the sport. I feel like Carol is kind of too big of a step up too soon for her. Carol's a good fighter. She won 4 fights in a row, and I know, Mello's not, the marquee win. Procopio's a nice win. That was a closer fight, but I saw a lot in that Hosa win over Vanessa Mello. Like, she mixed in a lot of takedowns. And if Hosa can take this fight to the ground, Jocelyn Edwards is not good off of her back. Like, she threw some different submissions against Wu Yanan and tried to do some stuff. But Carol is very tough on the ground, and she can keep her down. Jocelyn's had some problems. Go back and watch that LFA title fight against Sarah Alpar. That's why Sarah Alpar won, because she just kept taking her down and she kept her there. So if Carol can do that and just fight smart, she'll win. But if she gets into a firefight, all systems, all bets are off. Anything can happen. But it's a good fight, good scrap. Jose, why doesn't Manel cape, or I guess as the UFC pronounced it, Manel cap? Why is he not getting the Michael Chandler rub here from the UFC?
Because Dana White doesn't even know who he is. Yeah. That's the answer. I mean, I asked Dana White this to his face, and he was like, who? Oh, and then he gave some answer, like generic answer. He's like, oh, yeah, I love fighters that step up. I could have made up a name. I could have said, what do you think of George Soteropoulos? And Dana White would have been like, oh, I love guys that step up like George. So Dana doesn't know. Of course, he's not going to get hyped.
That's a real person that you just named.
Yeah.
I feel like we're so close to asking, like Dana, great performance from George Costanza tonight. What's next?
Yeah, there we go.
What's next?
What did you think of Art Vandelay?
Obviously, Ryzen, as great as it is, does not have the same kind of foothold in North America as Bellator does. And I know people say that Bellator is a distant second to UFC. It's probably in North America far ahead in name recognition than Ryzen is. So there's that element to consider. And look, Chandler has a much bigger body of work. As awesome as Cape is, Chandler's been around for a long time. He's one of the Bellator guys who even most UFC fans would know who he is. I think a lot of UFC fans don't know who Cape is. Should the UFC do a better job of promoting him like they did with Chandler? Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be cool if they gave him like a little video package, maybe work something with Ryzen, get some of that footage out there. But that's not the case. But I think it's really understandable why he's not getting the same level of hype though.
He's also not. He's in the wrong weight class for Dana White to pay attention to.
Yeah,
because like Dana White didn't even do media or stare downs, and Figueiredo fought Perez. So if there's a flyweight title fight on the line, what makes you think he's going to hype up a champion from another promotion?
Yeah. I mean, and it's crazy because Manel Cape, his last fight was for a title in front of 45,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. Saitama Arena. So, it's I think AK got it. It's just Ryzen just doesn't have that foothold with American fans, and yeah, here we are.
This is an excellent fight. Like, this is really good matchmaking, and the fight is super interesting because if Pantoja plays to his strengths, he'll win the fight. But Pantoja likes to get in those rumbles. He likes to he takes a lot of shots. He gets hit a lot. And if you take too many shots from Manel Cape, it's going to be a pretty short night for you. So if I'm him, I'm staying away from the firefight. And if he does that, I think he's got a shot here, but he just can't stay away from that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm going with Manel to put him away in the second round. But it's a good fight. No one's ever knocked Pantoja out before, but I have a feeling that tonight could be the night we see something's flip here. But it's a great fight. Pantoja can win if he fights his fight, though. Casey, we'll start with you here. Do you think with the height difference with Frankie Edgar, do you think the takedowns will actually be easier for one Frankie Edgar, or will the Aldo strategy, if used, destroy him again?
I'm picking Frankie in this fight. I think that small cage, Frankie's footwork, Corey's gonna run into that cage backing up real fast, and I think Frankie, I actually think it's gonna be kind of a boring entertainment-wise, but I think it's gonna be a dominant wrestle-based decision for Frankie Edgar, and I think the height difference actually will help Frankie a bit, but I think it's gonna be more about the smaller cage being Frankie using it to his advantage. That is my prediction.
What do you think? What do you think, Jose? Because I mean, Frankie's been in there. Every guy he fights is way bigger than him. The dude went five rounds with Max Holloway.
When they ask, will it be easier? I don't know, because we've never had data to show what it's like if Frankie fights someone shorter than him. Like, who's the only, has maybe Uriah Faber? Like, is he the only one Frankie's fought that's like at least eye level or shorter? Like, so until I see Frankie, maybe Mendez would probably be eye level with him too. So until I see him fight someone that is like way shorter than him, probably, because he hasn't had issues taking people down through 3 weight classes, so he should be fine.
Frankie's never, I'm trying to think, when is the last time he did use his wrestling to dominate? Yair, right? He bullied Yair with some wrestling, right? Yeah, so he's done it for sure. And that again, that was the right, I mean, if you were going to break out your wrestling and rely on it, that was the guy to do it. So that was like super smart. It's true, he does always have that tool, as Casey mentioned. I don't know if can he grind out a decision using it? He'll certainly try. We mentioned it definitely before when previewing the fight that the wrestling will be a key part, and especially in the first 2 minutes, we'll know what kind of fight it's going to be if he can hold Sandhagen down or not. The height difference, I know what Hollow Guy is saying here. Yeah, I mean, there's the whole argument of the center of gravity. We've seen taller guys struggle to avoid getting taken down by more stout opponents. We've seen that throughout MMA history. It's a very common thing. But holding them down is another story. So I do think takedowns will be easier. Holding him down, though, I don't know. I think Sandhagen's height and kind of gangliness will actually, that's a technical term, is gangliness will benefit him. So yes, somewhat a half yes to the question, I suppose.
Does anyone know offhand, is this, at least in a non-title fight, is this the biggest Frankie's been an underdog in?
Maybe the first BJ fight. But yeah, but that's a title fight, so I don't know. No idea.
I'm gonna look at.
Is that?
I'm gonna
Is
look
that
that up
I don't
right
know
now.
where you would look that up.
Please do.
I mean, I'm assuming he was
I'm
a big
looking it up
underdog
right now.
against Max. But
No,
Zombie?
he was.
160.
Let's see.
It says I'm going by Topology.
oh yeah. Well, he got smoked.
Yeah,
in
I think
those
I
fights,
think
yeah.
I think this is the biggest he was. Nope, the first BJ Penn fight. He was a minus
Yeah, it was
seven.
a-
He was a plus
non-title fight.
725.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it wasn't
not-
title.
again,
No,
it was
it wasn't
not title
non-title.
fight.
Title fight. This is the biggest one, non-title fight.
That's wow. Coming off a very strong victory too. This is very surprising. But here we. I mean, standing
Yeah, right now. Right now he's a plus 325 dog. The Max Holloway fight, he was plus 284. So yeah, and that was a title fight, but still, like, and he was a plus 231 against Pedro Munoz. But this is, I mean, way bigger than that. Good God.
This is the first time since I started doing predictions for the site that I'm picking against Frankie. I picked him to beat Holloway. That's how much faith I have. And
I'm fairly certain in our preview show you closed it out with future champion Frankie Edgar.
The Holloway when we were
Max.
talking about when he fought Max, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
I'm
what
on
you
record.
referred to him as.
I'm on record in print. I'm on record on video. I'm not proud of it. I'm a fanboy. But this time, even though I picked him to beat friggin' Max Holloway and I picked him to beat Korean Zombie, now is the time I'm deciding to be rational for some reason.
You picked him
And I
over
actually think he
Zombie?
loses. I picked him over Zombie with confidence.
That was
Confidence.
The Max one I could see, but the Zombie one.
The zombie
That
one
was
was
worse. I think
such a
Holloway was
short
worse.
notice fight.
Yeah.
I think Holloway was worse.
The zombie fight was so short notice.
I'm a fan. But this time I think Sandhagen's got him.
No, even pick Frankie over Ortega. You said the Holloway one. Sorry.
I wasn't quite doing the
Ortega
predictions
was
then,
short
but
notice,
definitely,
too.
Yeah, and we didn't know Ortega's power at that point too.
Yeah.
I feel like
I definitely picked Edgar to win that fight. I wasn't doing it for the set, but yeah.
I think if they ran that back at that exact moment, I think it'd be much. I'd pick. It's 50-50 to me still. Frankie and Brian. Brian just hit that standing elbow real early.
yeah.
I don't know if I've ever picked Frankie to lose. I'm just looking at his resume now.
Big broad question here.
What's up, guys? Who will be the biggest loser and winner of the upcoming card? I see Alistair if he loses and Edgar if he wins. Your thoughts? I don't know if I like answering the who will be the biggest loser question. That doesn't seem really fair without knowing what's going to happen. I mean, loser to me would be like you did what what's his face? What Paul Daly did and like hit after the bell or something. That'd be like loser to me. But just like competing in a fight and not getting a victory would not be like the biggest loser to me.
I think it would depend on.
I have a
think
big
it would
loser.
So do I. I think it would depend entirely on how and who, like how they lose or how they win. Like, because like if you have one of those epic wars and you like everyone goes, "There's no loser in this fight," then of course that. But like, say Clay Guida just goes out there and crushes Michael Johnson, and then all of a sudden Michael Johnson, his record gets even closer to 500 after all this talk of getting another run at the title. Probably Michael Johnson if he gets crushed in a round. I don't think that's going to happen.
That's an interesting fight. All right, let's kind of rephrase the question, AK. Kind of looking at things right now, who would you say could have the biggest stock rise after tonight's card?
Okay, I had my stock faller. Stock rise? I think I think Cape. I think Cape. Because again, I this goes with sort of what we said earlier. Because as high as we are all on him, I know we have been the MMA fighting train has been hyping the Cape train for a long time. Mike, you done some great interviews with them. Casey, I know you're a huge Ryzen guy. I like Ryzen as well. Jose, you're a Ryzen guy. You know, we like Ryzen. The win over Asakura was enormous, but I do think there's still that sense that like, oh, is this, from the more casual UFC fan, it's like, is this guy really good? So he's winning over in Japan. Can he win in the UFC? That sort of silly thing. And I think if he loses and it's a particularly like underwhelming performance, then the lack of hype he's already had from the UFC side of things, it's just going to be compounded. And like, I don't know how long the climb back is up to like where like right now we think if he beats Pantoja, he's like either one fight away or you could throw him into a title fight. And I don't think anyone would argue. If he loses to Pantoja, that's like puts him like 2 or 3 fights away. I don't know how long the climb back is. So I'll go with Cape. I think he has the most to gain from a win, if that made sense.
What are What are your thoughts on this question, Jose? Either way.
Winner and loser for Overeem? I mean, if Overeem wins, that's another step to like. I think you also have to look at the weight classes too. Like heavyweight and flyweight are so much more shallow. So I think what Alex said, like if the winner of the flyweight fight and the winner of the main event are going to be a lot closer to a title shot than anyone. Well, I guess the bantamweight one too, because that's like essentially a number one contenders fight. But with how the bantamweight division landscape is looking right now, I wouldn't be surprised if neither of these guys got a title fight right away, especially with TJ coming back and Henry Cejudo doing a lot of this on the internet. Cody Garbrandt's still not dropping a flyweight right now. So I would say the big winners could be the flyweight and the heavyweight fight on the main card just because of how the division is stacked up. And the lightweight fight freaking rules, and neither one's going to be any close to a title shot in 2021, regardless of how many fights they win.
Yeah, which is crazy. But I do have a feeling like whoever comes out of that fight, especially if it's a finish, the stock amongst like excitement levels amongst fans will go up for sure.
They'll get a big fight.
It's a dark horse fight for sure.
Which lightweight? We're talking about Fiera Dariush?
Yeah, the opener.
That lightweight fight.
Yeah. That's
why I want to talk about that. We talk biggest winner, the biggest potential winner tonight. I definitely feel is going to be Manel Cape if he gets a first round finish, or Alistair Overeem. If Alistair Overeem can actually demolish, say, Volkov in round one, then I think there will be very serious talks about him fighting for a title, or fighting John Jones next, or being like one fight away. If he kind of grinds out decision, it's just a win. But I think Manel Cape and Overeem with strong victories have the potential for the biggest stock rise. I honestly think the biggest loser tonight could be the loser of Ferreira Dariush, because they are two very, very, very good elite lightweights and who just don't move the needle. The fact that they're fighting before two unranked lightweights says a lot to me how the UFC looks at them. And I feel if one of those guys loses tonight, they have to win another 4 or 5 fights against killers just to get in the same spot as far as like an early prelim. So I feel that fight is it's gonna suck for Ferreira Dariush, whoever loses that fight.
I think specifically if Carlos Diego Ferreira loses, that means he's 0-2 against Dariush, which would and Dariush would be on a tear right there. So that would be a link. So if Ferreira loses and then they both keep winning, Ferreira's always going to be one step behind Dariush too. It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, especially that first fight, because like a lot of people put a lot of stock into that fight, but they both took that fight on like 2 weeks' notice. Diego Ferreira is like in a buffet line on vacation when he got the call to take that fight and had to cut like a ridiculous amount of weight. And then, that was the first loss of his career. And then he got finished by Dustin Poirier, and he hasn't lost since. The problem with CDF is I feel like needle mover. I don't think he's gotten to that point, but after he submitted Anthony Pettis, there was a lot of excitement surrounding that guy. And the problem is he just couldn't get back in the cage. And it's not, I wouldn't say people forgot about him, but there has been like a strong absence from him because he had a ton of momentum coming out of that event, and he hasn't fought in 13 months. The reasons why suck. I mean, the guy's been through a lot between injuries, COVID. He talked about it in the interview. Him and his wife were supposed to like actually have an official wedding. That got pushed back like a bunch of different times. Trying to get some like his house built. That got postponed. He said they were about to have a baby and they lost the baby. Like just a ton of crap has happened to this guy along the way. It's just wild. So we'll see what happens. That's a great fight. It's the best fight on the card. No doubt about it.
Two awesome corners too. Like Fortis MMA and Kings MMA. That talk about two masters of their craft and the corners right there.
I'm pretty confident when Diego lost those fights, he wasn't with Fortis. I think he was almost training.
No. Yeah.
He was just kind of not training on his own, but he kind of sounded like he was almost his own. He was the best guy in the gym for sure. Wherever he
was cutting weight because I remember the countdown was he was cutting weight he had a strictly cereal diet for a while, so he would just eat cereal all the time.
Dude, I love that diet. That rules.
Got AK?
One other guy who I think his stock is I'm kind of worried about is Mike Rodriguez, because it really sucks that he should be coming off a win. He should be on a 2-fight win streak right now. He should have a nice sort of veteran name there, Ed Herman. And we all know that fight was so weird and so controversial, and he was robbed. There's no other word for it. He was robbed of a TKO victory, and then went on to lose by submission, unfortunately. So, and if he loses tonight, It'll be lost in 3 of his last 4. So instead of a win streak, I hate to say he probably becomes part of the, they've been cutting quite a few people recently. He probably ends up getting cut. So that's one guy who I think definitely could be one of the people most, I don't say fear, no, they're not afraid, but definitely should be concerned about a loss and what it means at least for their UFC careers. So Mike Rodriguez, it's got to really watch out here and not get caught by anything silly, because he should be on a winning streak.
And he should win this fight in the first round. Like he should.
He should.
Like if you look at the matchmaking that they've given him, he should be like 5-1 in the UFC, considering how they view him. You know what I mean? Maybe even 6-0. I thought Devin Clark was kind of a big step up for your first UFC fight, so that was kind of rough. But still, Mike should win this fight in the first round. But he should have won all of these fights, in my opinion.
Right? We'll see. He's
an interesting, tons of talents. The potential is through the roof for that guy. It's just a matter of putting it all together.
All right. Quick answers on this one.
Dude,
why are you trying to make our MMA fans mad?
Oh my God. Like
awesome.
All of us, like when I saw it happen, I was like, for the people who aren't aware, I'll break it down. I'll break it down. So Kenta, who was in NXT and then went to 205 Live and then he went back to New Japan, and now he's leading the Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now New Japan Pro Wrestling also has Jon Moxley under contract. He's currently their US champion, but because of COVID they couldn't get him over. Jon Moxley is also pretty much, him and Kenny Omega are the faces of AEW on TNT on Wednesday nights, which is the second biggest, probably right now on par with the WWE in terms of fandom. Now AEW also just started a partnership with Impact Wrestling. So now we have a reunion of sorts with one of probably at the time the most popular iteration of the Bullet Club, which was Kenny Omega, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, the Young Bucks, blah, blah, blah. So now they are, Kenny Omega is now the champion of AEW, has been a cross-promotion thing with Impact. So he's re-teamed up with Gallows and Anderson, aka the Good Brothers, and the Young Bucks. On this most recent Dynamite, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, Kenta from New Japan quote, the invisible door, the forbidden door down, and made an appearance on AEW and attacked Jon Moxley, the New Japan Pro Wrestling US champion. So now we have Impact Wrestling, AEW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling all working together, and the WWE is just on its lone ship. This would be if UFC was doing its thing, and Bellator, Ryzen, and ONE, and I'm probably forgetting another major promotion, if they all just teamed up together, and they had like Patricio Pitbull versus Demetrius, it came in, showed up, and called out Demetrius Johnson, and then all of a sudden Eddie Alvarez and like Michael Venom Page showed up together, and they were talking. So it's that level of chaos right now in the professional wrestling world, and I love everything about it, and it will completely culminate with Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi throwing down at Wrestle Kingdom for the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling titles. End of story.
Also, Brother, NWA. NWA is also.
Oh, yes, and NWA is involved.
Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa.
Yeah.
But Stephen K, that was for
awesome.
you. That was for you. I hope you appreciated that.
My when that happened, my phone blew up because like AK and I are in like a little group chat with like our former colleague Mark Raimondi and his girlfriend G, and like they were like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" And all of a sudden, all my friends are texting me. I was like, "What is like?" This, it just caught the world by the actual unmasking of Kenta was super lame. It should have been way more dramatic, but it was an awesome moment to witness. End of story.
There you go.
All right, we got it.
If you guys aren't caught up after that, then you guys have no hope. I'm sorry.
That was a very brief cliff notes of all the chaos.
He spelled it out for you. Oh,
a Bellator question.
I like that.
All right, AK, what do you think?
I'll be boring and I'll go with kind of the rumors and sort of what everyone's assuming. They've already mentioned their planned restart date, April 9th. So that's for sure is going to be part of the announcement, make things official. Whatever April 9th, how the April 9th show's going to be handled, who's going to be on it, probably a main event, co-main event, things like that. And I do think we are going to get the announcement of a light heavyweight tournament. And hopefully, I hope they don't mess around. I would just straight up go first round matchup, Yoel Romero, Anthony Johnson. I know it's cool. I know it's amazing if you can build it up like they got with their featherweight thing, where they got exactly what I think they would have hoped for in AJ McKee and Patricio Pitbull. with this kind of thing, with light heavyweights, I think it's a little more volatile. The guys are a little bit older as well. Just right away, kick off the tournament with this banger of a matchup, and I think the announcement will be again official date, tournament start, Romero, Anthony Johnson.
Knock on the door, did I hear?
Yeah.
Jose, what do you think?
It's my neighbors deciding to hang up picture frames from what I imagine. It sounded like they were hammering into the wall. Yeah, what AK said, probably a light heavyweight tournament. I hope we get some clarity with what's going to happen at lightweight too, because Patricio Pitbull's still tied up with the 155-pound belt. So hopefully they clear up some of that, and maybe they get 2 tournaments going on. I don't know. I assume Douglas Lima is going to get his next fight, though I hear it's not Lorenz Larkin, which is weird. So hopefully Lorenz Larkin fights MVP.
Casey?
It's going to be 2 things. They're going to pick up the round, circular, stupid cage that Bellator has. They're going to throw it off a ship, and they're going to bring back the Strikeforce Hexagon. That cage actually rules. And then they're just going to loop Pitbull knocking out Chandler for like 2 hours straight.
I think they're going to, it could be that April 9th, we're going to get some fight announcements. Maybe they'll announce some sort of event on Showtime. Could see that happening. And maybe they'll sign Kenta with all this buzz that he's getting.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? If you go viral with something, Bellator's going to get you right on the phone. You know what I mean? Just like the woman who beat the 500-pound guy. She was signed to Bellator like a week later. She went viral.
Right when the iron is hot.
That's what you got to do. All right, so it's 5:01 Eastern time, which means it's about that time. We got to head on over to ESPN Plus and watch some fights, and then we'll come back after
Ode
the fact
Osborne.
and we'll talk about everything that happened. Ode Osborne versus Jerome Rivera. This was supposed to be the fight that was going to happen like last month, and then Rivera fought somebody else, and now Ode was supposed to fight somebody else, and here we are again, and doing it at 145 pounds, which is
Canadians first 2 fights on Fight Pass. We still use Fight Pass up here, guys. Canadians first fights on Fight Pass, then TSN. All right, so
Still can't say the last name of the alphabet right.
We're the only ones that say it right.
Can't even spell Sports Center right.
What's the TV
Dragon
show
Ball.
with Goku and Vegeta?
Dragon Ball Z.
That's not
Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, God. With that said, we're out of here. Enjoy the fights, everybody. We'll see you later on. For AK, Jose, and Casey, I am Mike Heck. We'll see you later. Godspeed.